once I started painting, you know, it takes a lot of nerve to put color down because it's a little bit stressful because we can't change it, right? So here I've got a brush, a water brush. This is the color that I think I'm going to add to this painting. And first I'm going to test my brush and make sure I understand how it works, because we need to have control over the dyes on the silk. It seems to be working pretty well. So this is a green, a light green with some blue in it. I'm going to start at the top of the painting and go right to left, right to left. No, left to right. Look at that. There we go. I have to be sure that my hand doesn't get in the way of being able to see what I'm doing. Because the last thing I want to do is go over the lines that I took such good care to put in resist on the painting. So I have to watch out for my clock tower. See, this dye does not run that much. It doesn't spread that much on this fabric. This is silk charmeuse. It's a little bit on the heavy side. It's very luxurious, and I love using it. So I say luxurious because it's shiny, it's heavy, and it has a sheen to it. So see what happens when I come to, again, when I come to the tip of this clock tower. I have to be careful, A, to not cover the resist. See, this is funny right here, how the silk isn't taking up the dye. I have three more brushes by my side in case I need them. See, you can see how the dye is moving there. This is going to be really pretty. I can anticipate a little bit which way the dye is going to move. An interesting thing also about my style of work is that I really like the bold colors. And the flat colors. But I've been attempting to add a little bit of texture to the backgrounds. See, this makes me think it needs another pen, possibly. I just don't know why the dye's not taking right there. Here I have a pen. So let me just take, let's go like this and see if that helps. I want to keep the wet sections of the silk, try to keep them from drying, because if they start to dry and then I add more dye to it, it creates a darker line. Now that line should smooth out because that dye was still damp. It's kind of fun though, isn't it? What I'm doing is reacting to what the dye is doing. It's telling me what to do. I'm making a suggestion, and then it says, well, Renee, come over here, move the brush this way, move the brush that way, move it vertically, move it horizontally. You see how I just add a little bit and then let it travel? And then I respond to it. I respond to what the dye is doing. Now as my areas to paint get smaller, it's going to be easier for me to keep that section wet. When I'm working with large expanses of dye, then it's harder. I like these white edges, but not everybody does. pretty, isn't it? Really like this color. It was a hard time figuring out what it should be. See, this is when I might need my smaller brushes. Over here I have the background going into the painting. Hello, Harvey. When a painting gets to be 7 feet long or more than 2 meters, you know you have to change the size of your brush and how you handle the brush strokes. And then here we are back to our bigger brush strokes. And we have our building here that we have to fill in. My style is to let the background merge into the architecture, which brings a stronger focus on the lines of the painting and the lines of the architecture. See how the brush helps me guide the dye into the spots where it needs to be. I would say, fingers crossed, this design is coming out very well. Now, if I can get enough dye on here to bring it up into the clock tower. Bring the color up into the clock tower without letting it change its personality too much. So that means I need to get some dye really quickly up into the clock tower, but I also need to tighten up my hooks. So, hold on. Boy, that's pretty. Boy, that's a pretty color. Boy, there were all kinds of colors mixed into this one. Magenta, black, marine green. Okay, remember we have to keep this wet. Shouldn't be too hard since it's such a small area. Get this going back up here again. There's steps going up here. See how there's steps on the side of the clock tower? Maybe there was a house attached to it on the other side. Maybe someone lived in it. This looks like a door, almost like a door on a lighthouse, but that's not what it is. There was a statue in there, a religious statue. Okay, so it was like a shrine at the bottom of the clock tower. Okay, I'm going to change brushes again. And get this filled in. Because we have some detail work here. I want to get the green into the steps and under the shrine door. I have to be able to see where the resist is and where it is not. And I might need a smaller brush, but I'm going to try to add the details here because I can trust the dye to find its way. Be nice to be able to get a little bit of chia. The word is chiaroscuro, the Italian word for shape and modeling. That would be nice, but again, it's not really my style, so if it doesn't happen, that's fine. Now up at the top here, we have these supports for the top of the clock tower, and I'll need a little brush to get in those spaces. So I'll go like this, and where the die moves to. Might do one more pass down here. And like I said, I'm going to use a even smaller brush up here. And just let the paint or the dye find its own way. I'm thinking about a light blue for the top of the tower. These blue lines that you see on the silk are my drawing. They'll go away when the silk is washed. So all you will have here are blue lines. White lines. White lines. Now, it's good that I saw this because this is a space that goes through to the sky. So it has to be the same color as the sky. So the color decisions are going to be the roof, the chimneys, the shrine, and the top of the clock tower. Time to wash my brushes.